Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another game design coaching session with me, Jeremy Uy. Thank you guys for applying for for this. I think just to give audience some context in terms of who you guys are and in terms of what game you're working
Mhm.
on. Maybe y'all can just describe yourself. We have three-person here, so from the team that is making this game. Just come out, introduce yourself, lah.
Okay. So I'm Kudo. I am the project manager and then the programmer for the game called FiresOut. So we are the studio behind the game. So we are called Dreamonaut Studio. So yes, we are making a firefighting cooperative game. So basically, it's like Overcooked moving out, but you're firefighting.
Hello guys. My name is Danny, and I'm the game designer of the FiresOut. I'm the person who in charge on designing the core mechanics of the games and also the level design of the games. Basically, the entire game is like the you play as a trainee, yeah, as an intern, and then you go learn how to become the firefighters. Then you navigate with your friends, play with your friends, teamwork together, and overcome all the challenge.
Hello, my name is Ikram. I'm fairly new to the team actually.
Hmm.
I am the second game designer. Danny is the lead game designer. And I also came in and did some UI, for now, some basic UI overhaul.
Okay, all right. Thank you, guys. I think I'm just curious. Like I just want to maybe get a little bit history of the game because I've seen this game, being exhibition a lot in different events and also like student events,
Mm.
pitching sessions, things like that. But maybe I just want to go back in time a little bit just to sort of get some context. What sort of like inspired you guys to make this game? Where did the idea come from, and what is the decisions that lead up to making this build?
So basically, at the start, we formed the team,
Mm-hmm.
and then we were like, okay, let's make a game. So
Mm-hmm.
each of us pitched an idea. So this idea actually came from me. So basically, I like cooperative games. I like moving out. I
Mm-hmm.
like Overcook.
Mm-hmm.
So and then me and my sister, we are fan of this kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
But then we realized that there's not much of this kind of game. So that's why we were like, okay, if there's not much of this kind of game, what if we make our own?
All right. So why firefighters? Well, so there's a lot of things that you can there's a lot of different themes that you can go for. But why firefighters?
Because I wonder something that is so the reason why I feel like Overcook is very fun is because it's very chaotic.
Mm.
Like everything is like dynamic, this thing, chaotic, randomness, everything.
Yeah.
So I feel like having like the fire aspect where all the fireball is like coming at you and then everything like so chaotic, everything is on fire, feels like
Mm.
very fun.
My next question is that all this like all the mechanics that's in here right now. Do you feel that you've achieved that vision of yours or not at this point?
I would say it achieves what we wanted so far,
Mm-hmm.
but we want more than this lah. So far we are actually quite kind of very satisfied with what we have in terms
Right.
of
Right.
game design.
Okay, of course, you guys coming here for today, you feel something like maybe it's a little bit missing, maybe it's like didn't really hit the point yet. What do you
Mm.
think that is?
For me, because I feel something weird about the game design.
Yep,
It doesn't mean that the game is not good right now,
yep.
but it's just lack of something. It can push the game further to worldwide, and a lot of players will
Mm,
play it like Overcooked and moving out. We're still trying to find out what are the things that we're lacking of on the design side. We have a specific objective in the games, which is our core objectives to saving victims, as how usually firefighter will do. You save human life to achieve your task.
mm.
And we also have our side objective, which is like saving the house destructions. So on these kind of parts, we're still thinking about, is it the objective is good enough, or should we change it, or should we just maintain it?
So you feel that at this point in time, you feel you don't mind exploring like,
I think the other bigger concern we have is
mm,
so far what we have we work many months towards this.
yes.
So what we have right now is
Mm-hmm.
something that we did for many months. So, and then of course, when we are gonna develop this into a full game, you need more. The biggest concern I have is like, how do I come up with more mechanics, with multiple more new stuff, but at the same time still maintaining what is fun, this fundamental of what exactly is fun.
Okay, good, because I think all the design notes I'm going to give you should help you either, I wouldn't say solve the problem, but at least point you in the correct direction lah. So
Nice.
I think there's nothing so far that I hear that's like completely different. So I hope this should
Mm-hmm,
be able to
mm-hmm.
cover it lah. Okay, all
Okay.
right. Having said that, let's look at the design notes. I guess okay. So we'll start with this. I looked at your documents. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I read through most of it, and one of the things that I noticed is that it is in the title as well. There's this word, chaotic. Okay, this word has been used a lot to describe what this game is. It's used 13 times so far. It is something that you guys feel that you really want, and I feel that in the expression of the game itself, it is definitely
Mm-hmm.
something that you guys want to try to achieve. But I want to just
Correct.
take a step back and want to ask you guys, what do you mean by chaotic specifically?
Chaotic to us, or at
Mm-hmm.
least in paper, is that chaos comes from unpredictability. So it comes from things being dynamic,
Mm.
and then it comes from unpredictability. So when things becomes like when things happens out of a sudden, and then out of what is expected, then it kind of cause like chaotic moment, basically something that you don't expect. But again, I think it's also something that we also struggle to really define what exactly is chaos.
Thanks for that. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
gonna take your notes here, and I just want to sort of like recontextualize it a little bit, because
Mm-hmm.
I feel what I'm noticing, you guys are facing is that you see all the game elements in the games that you're referencing. Like for example, this is from Overcooked 2. You
Mm-hmm.
you see things like overlapping tasks, you see things like time limits, you see things like unpredictable environments, moving platforms, collapsing floors.
Yep.
These things will cause the chaos, but you really want to understand where does the like what is the exact moment in the game that triggers this chaos to happen. This creates this sort of cascading effect that something goes wrong and then something else goes wrong and then something else goes wrong. I just want to reframe the definition of chaos in these two games a little bit. Okay, so first I want to establish what does Overcooked do. It's trying to establish a cyclical workflow with multiple prep stations that demands different times placed between tight funnels. You see, the way I describe this and compared to the way you guys describe it, it is a set of items that correlate to one another. A workflow, there is a workflow, that means there's a cycle that comprises of multiple prep stations. And each prep station has different demands. They have different mechanics, they have different time, and they demand different inputs and also outputs. And also they are placed between like tight spaces, right? And then this, you combine it with the randomized recipes. This means that the workflow is always changing. This means that the prep station, some will utilize more than the others. There's also the level gimmicks, lah, which is the moving platforms and then the
Right.
elevated floors and then the portals. Okay? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so chaos will start to trigger when players start messing up the ingredients. When somebody suddenly accidentally puts a tomato, in a dish that should not have tomato, that's when the cycle breaks, right? Correct? That's when things start to
Correct.
fall apart.
Correct.
It's like, oh my god, we cannot use this dish anymore. We need to remake it again. Let's toss this, throw it in the rubbish, But then there's, then you have to reuse the plate, and then okay, let's make it again, and then recook it, and then suddenly the next recipe comes in. Oh my god, now we need another thing, and then maybe instead of throwing away, it's like wait, we can keep this for the next one, and then you make it again, and then you do it again. So everything happens from players messing up the ingredients because the game creates this environment that you establish a workflow, you know the workflow, you know how everything moves. So even the platform moving, even the recipe changing, it's still not enough to create chaos. Chaos only starts when players start messing up the games because all of these things demands attention, and the trigger is that, oops, I burned this burger. Oops,
Yeah.
that's when it starts happening, right? Even later in the game, right? There's like, you can put you have a blender and you have to put different things, and then suddenly, I accidentally, like, you need, like, for example, a soup needs 3 mushrooms. I put 1 mushroom,
Yeah.
2 mushroom, 3 mushroom. Suddenly, blur put the 4th mushroom. Oh my god,
Oh.
redo it again. That's when it mess up. So the chaos comes from messing up the ingredients, and this creates a cascading effect that disrupts this whole workflow, prep station, different times and everything. Everything just falls apart, and then you have to reset again, and then you have to adapt, right? Like, because sometimes you can salvage, right? You can salvage the mistakes, correct? The second game you guys keep referencing is moving out. So moving out, there's tight spaces, there's fragile items, there's large items that you have to move around. So
Alright.
do you feel moving out is also as chaotic as Overcooked?
I will say not really. The difference between moving out and Overcooked is more, I would say, is more dynamic, as in the level keeps on changing and then they keep on swapping places. Whereas moving out, they don't do as much.
Again, I'm just gonna look through what you guys give here and then just sort of like recontextualize things a little bit. So objects are clustered around different rooms, but you can only carry one thing at a time. Some objects are long and angled that needs to be shimmied out of tight spaces. Some are small and can be thrown but are fragile. Physics objects can help, if your aim is good. Certain levels demand you to like throw specific objects at like a bouncy platform, like a trampoline or like one of those rubber railings in that sense. And this is the sort of gameplay, right? And where does the chaos come from? The chaos comes from coordinating around tight and unstable spaces. The one difference I would say, even though moving out and Overcooked, they share a lot of similarities, but they're fundamentally very different games. One thing about moving out is that they rely a lot on their physics engine. The moving the furniture, throwing the furniture, they rely a lot on that. And how do they take advantage of that is that they always challenge you to be very, very good at moving these objects, like the L-shaped sofa, and then they will sometimes throw like not only tight spaces. At the later stage, you have like conveyor belts, rotating rooms, bottles, or you have like even like hazards, right? Like pools or bottomless pits or things like that, right? And the chaos comes from mastering the control of this physics engine, correct? So that's where the chaos comes from. So now this is from your game, FiresOut. There's a lot of words like creating challenging and unpredictable solutions, unexpected events, unexpected situation. There's a lot of words using like unexpected, unpredictable, unexpected, unknown. So there's a lot of things. Ultimately happens is that you have a game that is like that is based on a very simple premise. You have to rescue the hostage before time runs out and make sure they don't die, and then you have to use the fish, you call it gluk gluk, right? Use the fish to put out the fires and the axe to break obstacles. Because the way you describe chaos is like this, what ends up happening is that your game, the chaos feels like it's manufactured. Chaos happens because it is created, not because it comes out of something. Like if you look at the other games, right, it comes from the mastering of the physics engine, correct? This one comes from messing up the ingredients. The game demands so much attention that you might just screw up, and that's when the chaos starts. But this game, chaos comes from I'm gonna throw fireballs in this place. I'm gonna add a moving platform. That you also have other mechanics like the water can push players around, and you can sort of hit each other to sort of throw them around. I think it's sort of like very fun in the tutorial level, but after you play it for a while, you'll be like, oh, okay, what does it do to add chaos? It didn't really add that. So even the dragging gluk gluk around the tight spaces, I would argue that the play, like in the context of this game, not because this mechanic feels very similar to Moving Out. I think you have physics in the game, but it's not like as fine-tuned as the one in Moving Out. It did not feel as like dynamic, and it doesn't really challenge you in a particular way. Dragging gluk gluk feels like, rather than a problem-solving mechanic, it becomes like, oh, I just need to go point A from point B. Like the chaotic element comes from the fact that it's just something I just got to do, rather than chaos triggered by events that happen again, emergent from players' action. I think what you really want to do is you want to really define what does chaos mean in your game. And I would actually avoid using the words chaos. I would avoid using the words chaos because chaos can feel a bit too general. Establish a cyclical workflow with multiple prep stations that demand different times, place between tight funnels, and then throw them with randomized recipes and level gimmicks like moving platforms and elevated floors, which then throws this cycle off by if they mess up the ingredients. That is chaos. It's a very, very specific term, right? Describing the chaotic elements in Overcooked. You need something like that. You need to really, really define what chaos means in your game. What that is, I will go into it a bit later because there will be other parts that might help solve this problem. Also, by extension, I also want you guys to also look at other parts of your documents. Do the same thing as well. You mentioned the game is fun and humorous, but what does fun and humorous mean to you guys? Because if if every game just say, oh, in the game design pillars, the game needs to be fun. It's like, oh, then
Yep.
everyone can pack up and go home already, right? Because everyone's game is gonna be fun and
True.
humorous.
True.
But you need to really define it. Where does the fun come from, right? Like I would
Mhm.
argue, like the fun in in moving out, right? The physics engine is really good. Like it's really fun to carry things around. They add these little things like when you take out like a microwave and then the wire just snaps off of it. There's small little
Yep.
things here and there. It's fun to see that thing. And then you can take a basketball, throw in the hoop. It's those small little details is fun. I think you also want to ask yourself what in your game that makes it fun. And don't take anything for granted. Don't take the small details for granted. Adding, moving out don't have to add that wire snapping thing, but adding that just gives the game a little bit more like flavor, right? Like oh
True. True.
I'm plugging the TV out.
Snapping away.
Yeah, yeah, it's such a small thing, but it's fun. It's the kind of thing that makes you feel like it's kind of cute.
Yeah.
Don't take those small things for granted. So this is the next thing I want to talk about, which is dynamic progression, right? Level increases in complexity. Same thing. I would ask you, I would ask you the same question. What does new obstacles and tools mean? Really define the elements in your game properly, because what I'm seeing right now is that you're taking elements of Overcooked and elements of moving out, and you're putting it into this frame of a firefighting game.
Yeah.
But how does it transform the game into its own version of chaoticness, own version of funness, own version of obstacles and things like that? So really, you cannot simplify this, and you cannot let things slide, because what will end up happening is that this chaotic stuff, you're trying to inject into it rather than make it happen. For any questions so far?
I'm not sure whether you go on a little bit more, but how would you solve this? That because you say it feels manufactured.
Mm.
How should we approach this then?
Okay, it comes to, then let's talk about the next point, which is the
Oh,
core
okay.
gameplay loop and progression and fantasy. So this one hopefully would cover that. Let's go into the next one, core gameplay loop, progression and fantasy. So let's first look at Overcooked. What is the core gameplay loop? What is the progression? What is the fantasy? So Overcooked is based on a cooking game, right? But
Mm-hmm.
not just any cooking game. It's a cooking game about running a kitchen. Okay, and that's very different from a cooking game. Cooking Mama is a cooking game, but it's not a cooking game that it's a game about making like fun ingredients, like oh let's make steamed fish, or let's make a pie. It's more casual, I would say. Overcooked is about running a kitchen, and the experience of running a kitchen is very specific. This screenshot is from the TV show called The Bear. It is a show about running a. If you do not know this show, perhaps you can also look at other shows like Gordon Ramsay's Hell Kitchen. If you see the kitchen, right, the way it moves and the way it works, they want to sort of
Mm-hmm.
replicate the chaoticness. I say chaoticness, right? The chaoticness of cooking in the kitchen. But the chaoticness is very specific, correct? Because if you look at this is what chaos means in this game. But the chaos that happens from in the kitchen comes from a very similar point, correct? Now, if you look at the mechanics in Overcooked, right, you have the random ingredients that comes through. You have plating, you have frying. Of course, you have like different ones. Right, this is just some examples. And also, you have like limited spaces, right? You have tables, so you can put plates. You can pass ingredients off to one another. These are all the mechanics that exist in Overcooked to replicate all of the elements of running a kitchen. And
Mm-hmm.
this is the core gameplay loop. Running a kitchen itself, there is a system behind it. You start with the ingredients, you prep it, you cook it, you serve it, and then you bring back the plates, and then you do it over again. And this fantasy is fun. The fact
Right.
that doing all this of course in a safe space, in the simulated environment, it's fun. It's fun to run the kitchen, assuming that you don't have to talk to scolding customers after that lah. Of course, it's fun to play with your friends in this environment, right? And all of these mechanics helps to materialize all of these elements to create an environment where it's like, oh, I'm running a kitchen. This is the
Mm-hmm.
very first level of Overcooked 1. You have all of these
Mm-hmm.
elements, and you have this space that they created. So now, not only you have to have mechanics, but you also have to have your space and level to sort of reflect what your game is trying to do, correct? Now, if you look at I'm just going to break it down into how an Overcooked level looks like. This is the level design of
Yeah.
Overcooked 1. If you look at the flow of the game, right, do you see this do you see this
Oh.
workstation thing? This is the player pathing. This is the player's path when they're trying to fulfill the game requirements. When they try to fulfill the ingredients to try to get it on time.
Mm-hmm.
You see this black lines is the one that you're trying to prep the ingredients. These purple lines are when the mistakes can happen, right? People can burn their food here, people can serve the food wrong, and then they have to take the fire extinguisher, which is this red one, and then they have the trash, which is this black one. That sort of throws up this workflow that they've established, correct? This system that they establish here, combined with the level design and the flow of this cyclical nature, and adding on the fact that players can make mistakes, this is how the Overcooked established its gameplay loop, its progression, and its fantasy. So everything comes together to create a game that truly replicates the experience of running a kitchen. Okay, running a kitchen, panic of somebody ordering something and then somebody screwing up. This I burn my food. Everything that you see that comes from running a kitchen, it is expressed all here. Now let's look at moving out. Okay, now let's look at moving out. Moving out, I would say you are right in a sense. Moving out is actually a slightly different game because the game doesn't really have a very strong internal system that requires you to establish this kind of workflow. Moving out is a way simpler game, right? What do you need to do? You need to carry furniture through like tight spaces, right? There's also this throw boxes to pass to your friends, and then also stacking your boxes as well. And also, of course, they add this little fun mini games. So of course, you can throw the basketball, score goals, and maybe you can throw something on the trampoline and things like that. So the game relies a lot on the physics engine to replicate that feeling, right? But if you don't have a strong mechanical system, like a strong gameplay loop that sort of gameplay system that is so robust, you need to rely on a little bit more on the fun and silly game feel side lah. The feeling of like carrying a furniture, the feeling of, because in Overcooked, right, when you hold an ingredient, it's not as fun as you holding an object in moving out, correct? Moving out,
Correct.
the Overcooked has a tossing mechanic also, but it's not as fluid as moving outs. Yeah, like tossing thing is a kind of awkward in Overcooked, but moving out is really fluid. Now, this is the so you have like this tight furniture thing, you have this throwing mechanic, and then you have this furniture stacking thing, which again replicates the feel and the gameplay feel of moving out. This is level 1 of moving out 1, and if you were to look at the level design, this is kind of how it roughly looks like from a top-down point of view. So these red dots are the furnitures, and the double red dots are the sort of the big furnitures. Okay, and if you look at the workflow, right, this is what tends to happen. Players will start to move things around back and forth until they discover that, oh, actually there is like some kind of straight line way that they can just push all the furniture all into like one spot, and they can just sort of like create an assembly line straight into the van. Correct? You see these black lines are the ones that as you walk around, then you start to slowly discover this red line, and then you can start to make it efficient. And you might even go through this like for the second or third playthrough, right? That once you come back to this level, let's try to 3-star it. This red line is something that you already have in mind already. The discovery from this first path to the second path is there. Now let's look at FiresOut. I'm gonna put all the elements from what I think as a firefighter you might be doing. Okay, some of these things in the game you might have, or some of the things you might not. So you have this, right? Spraying water, breaking things, and also, of course, you have. I put trampoline here, but of course, you're ultimately saving victims, right?
Yeah.
Now, I want you to look at your level design a bit. Okay, so this is your level, and okay, this is the level design from your design document lah. I don't know how final this is, but I'm just gonna put it here just to sort of like give you some sort of comparison in terms of how to interpret level design a little bit. When you look at this one, okay, so this is your first level, right? Now again, if you boil it down to like its core, this is kind of how it looks like. So the red clouds are like the fires, and then the concrete is the gray slabs. The victims are this purple ones, and then you have your hose, and then you have your axe here, right? And then this is the fire monster thing. Okay. Now if you look at the flow, right, what is the difference between this and this and this? What do you think is the difference?
They not repeating the same roads, or not much road is repeating.
Anyone else have anything to add on to that?
All of it is just one way. You
Correct.
go in, go out, go in,
Yes.
go out.
Yes, both of you are correct. It is a linear path, because once you go and break that concrete thing, you're done. that is done already.
Yeah.
There's no decision needs to be made after that, because in Overcooked and in Moving Out, despite Moving Out being a more simpler game, you are forced to
Mm-hmm.
come back and carry the same thing, because the first time you might fumble, but the second time you might get better, and the third time you might be like, hey, actually, why am I bringing it out here? I can just throw it out this window. You see,
Mm-hmm.
there's always new context added. Even though they have done it before, they have to remake the decision based on everything else again. Do I clump all the furniture into one room and then throw everything out one thing at a time, like in one go? Do I carry one thing at a time? Which is the faster way, right? There's still some gaps to get to a point where it's like I figured this level up. Okay, there
Mm-hmm.
will be a point where the player does not know how to play the level, until a point where it's like, up, I close my eye, I know how to play this level. When we play Fires Out, you will never have that. Once you play it one time, you know already. There's no repeating factor. So this is what you might feel, that it's tough to scale a game up something like this, because scaling a game up something like this requires you to just add more content. I can see what you guys try to do in this. You all try to add the fireballs dropping. And also, I think you
Mm-hmm.
all also have like I don't know if it's intentional or maybe it's random, or it's scripted. But after you bring certain victims, the exit would be like start to collapse, and it will start blocking your way again.
You mean like the it will block your exit, is it?
Yes, correct.
Like the
Yeah,
fire?
yeah.
Well, basically, it's we made it such that at certain point,
Mm.
certain places will catch on fire.
By doing that, right, essentially you're still kind of like extending the level, even though you're not like adding new spaces, but you're
Mm.
creating more obstacles, therefore you're just adding. So this linear path that the player is trying to go for, it just keeps getting longer and longer and longer, rather than a game like Overcooked and Moving Out. It's getting
Yeah.
cleaner and cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. Even though a game has moving platforms, it is still technically
Mm-hmm.
static, correct? Like the platform didn't change speed, or they don't like even though when they disappear or appear or they move around, there is a pattern, correct? There is a cycle. And this cycle is predictable. The
Mm.
only unpredictable thing is player behavior. That's when the chaos starts. That's when things start to go wrong, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the game don't even need to add anything new, but it can create more problems by letting these kind of things emerge. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because once one fella accidentally drop the thing and falls down somewhere, that's when it creates that additional challenge, correct? And the
Mm.
game designer don't even need to add new levels. They don't even need to cause an explosion, or they don't need to collapse the room or whatever it is. It just happens because player make that mistake. How are you going to turn this into something like this? There should be an underlying mechanic that the player can engage with, that scales with what you're trying to do, in terms of you're trying to challenge the players, but you're not
Yep.
changing the fundamental mechanics. The fundamental mechanics never ever changes. Once you start to get good at moving the sofa, then suddenly
Yep.
you discover that, oh, now try moving a sofa where the room is rotating in a circle. Now try moving the
Mm-hmm.
sofa when the one platform is moving but the other is stationary. Now try moving the sofa when both of you have to move in the same speed, so that across like a bridge, so that you don't have to
Yeah.
so you don't drop the sofa. The game challenges you to use this physics mechanic over and over again in unique and interesting ways, but the physics mechanic itself never change. Yeah, correct. If that makes sense. The,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
the fundamental element of the game itself needs to be so good that you don't need to crack your head to figure out how to add more things. You're just creating new spaces for them to express their skill, expand their skill in that sense. Because once players start to
Mm-hmm.
expect ingredients in Overcook, right? In Overcook, once they
Yep.
start to know, that's when the game start to like, oh, now you have a soup that has 2 mushrooms and 3 mushrooms. Are you paying attention in that sense? They really, really try to throw you off in that sense. But the fundamental game itself there's a lot of little things in the game that can scale on and off. They sort of create this sort of dynamic element of expanding the game even further and further lah. I would say also, if I look at your design documents, this is the only part I can find about progression and expanding. Because when
Mm-hmm.
you have your core mechanics, right, and then you kind of like, okay, I like this fish thing, I like this breaking thing, When you start to expand your levels into 2 and 3, this is the part where you start to realize that, oh, actually, is my core mechanics strong enough to scale up or not? And then that's where you need to
Mm-hmm.
start to look at it and be like, oh, actually, I think we need to go back to the core mechanics and sort of figure out again, because it's tough to scale this game up because all I'm doing is adding more things, but I'm not really challenging the game's current existing mechanics. Like, for example,
Mm-hmm.
are you challenging the player in terms of like, like, yeah, you aim the fish, right? But is there any particular thing is there any particular mechanic in the game that pushes that element to a newer level? Because right now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm level 1 to level 3, right? I'm putting out the fires in the same way. There's no real challenge in the way that the game forces me to use this water mechanic in a unique way. Carrying Gluk Gluk is the same throughout and throughout. Carrying the sofa in moving out gets challenging, gets more and more challenging because the level challenges them in that way. Now you might argue, what about the moving platforms in the third level you have, right, which is the raft thing?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it really changes the way you move. Look. It's still the same way. You're still pushing it point A to point B. Rather than in moving out, it's like, hey, you move faster, I move slower. You move faster, I move slower. Oh, now let's move together at the same speed. Oh, to turn. Okay, I'm gonna pull this from one side, and then you're gonna push this from the other side. This moving the sofa alone has so many little things in there that you cannot help but create more interesting challenges for the game to make them master this more and more. This description of progression and level design, it's very similar to what you have in this earlier
Yep.
specificity. You need to be very, very specific. You cannot just see like, oh, I'm moving this sofa, I'm moving this lamp, or I'm moving this furniture. Let's incorporate this into Gluk Gluk. But you're not really thinking about, oh, why is this sofa, why is this moving mechanic important to this game? And you will start to realize that, oh, because it connects to so many different things. It ties to the level design, it ties to the system mechanics, and it ties to the core gameplay loop, and also the expression and the features of what this game is trying to do. Your question earlier was how to solve this problem, how to create this chaos, right? Um,
Yeah.
this is like this is one way to check it, to check that is your game scalable or not. So you want to think about, yeah, I have the core mechanics. Now, if you cannot figure out how to scale it up, you might need to go back and look at it again. You might need to check yourself. And then also, when you take mechanics from other games, ask yourself, what is it about the game's mechanic that makes it so fun to play, or so easy to scale, or so like create so many unique challenges for the players? Be very, very specific. I want you to go back, look at your game, look at the inspirations that you pull from, and ask yourself, what is it that makes it so fun to play? One of the ways to think about it is this. Let's give an example, right? In moving out, the act of carrying the object and throwing the object is so good that you can make a whole game out of just that mechanic. You can make
Yep.
10 levels or 20 levels just alone, just carrying and throwing the mechanic. You can think of it. I can think of elevation. I can think of like accuracy. I can think of like a obstacle course thing where I need to like put here and then I walk to another place, take it, throw in the other room. There's so many things you can do just for that one mechanic. And once you start to add more things, it just gets better and better and better. The act of doing just simple things in the level needs to be already
Mm-hmm.
quite fun, and only then you want to think about how you want to expand it. What if I throw it through a hole? Like does that feel fun? What if I throw it out the window? Like what if I throw from the third floor to the car? If I just like Kobe it from like the building, right? Whoop, drop.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it feels fun, And of course, you might make a mistake. Like, oops, I missed, and then you fall somewhere, and then you have to go run there and pick it up and everything. So the act of that creates a sense of like, oh wow, I'm so good at throwing. I'm just gonna yeet it, and it's like, yeah, I got it. The nature of this game is cyclical. It forces you to refine your process over and over again because it creates a lot of small wins for you, and then in the middle
Mm-hmm.
of these small wins, suddenly you screw up, and then that's when it starts to add up. Uh,
I see.
all right. So this linear thing, it can become a problem because it's very, very hard to scale a game linear. Not impossible, but every level have to be designed intentionally. Like really, really, like you really need to plan the level up properly. And you might find that no matter what you do, it always feels like a different version of I'm just adding more obstacles.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Now, again, I don't think this fully answers your question, because I think you asked how to fix the core mechanic, right? This is just one of the things. I think this is like a check, like a test. Like you test your core mechanic to by try to scale up and see what happens, and then you start to know, because you guys realize that, oh, this linear mechanic thing is it might be the issue, but because the game you're referencing is cyclical, you did not realize
Yep.
by turning the game into a linear, you lose a lot of that fun elements almost immediately already. So you gotta ask yourself,
Mm.
what happened to my game now that it's linear, or how do I make my game a bit more cyclical, a bit more assembly line, a little bit more workflow, things like that.
Yeah, I think for us, what we found help with this was that
Mm,
we have windows.
mm.
So in level 2 and 3, we have more windows, and
Ah,
that kind of break away from that linearity.
yes.
And then you have this more of like um, places where you overlap and everything.
Mm, mm. Yes, I think there was a room that is like it's not here, but it's the next one, which is yes, your skill. Okay, so this is
Mm.
like expansion of that lah. But yeah, this is the core gameplay loop, progression, and fantasy. Now, I would say like this. Sorry, before I go to the next one, which is the scalability. So I'm just gonna talk about the what do you call the fantasy of it. I think this
Yeah,
fantasy is also a big part of the fun. Playing
yeah,
Overcooked is fun because you get to feel like running a kitchen. And running the kitchen is like, if you watch any kind of film about running a kitchen, you will start to see that Overcooked really, really took a lot of the elements of that. Yeah,
yeah,
people bumping into each other. It's it's not in the game just because it's fun. It is something that happens in the actual kitchen in real life. People bumping into each
yep,
other. Yeah, and they brought it into the game, and that adds to the fantasy. That adds to the immersion. That adds to the fun. Moving out as well. Moving out as well. It's fun to like, we don't do this with like fragile objects lah. But let's say we need to move like a lot of stuff. It's fun to just, hey, I'm gonna toss you. I'm just gonna toss you. You're gonna toss it to the truck and toss it. It's fun to do that. It's fun to do that. Don't neglect the fantasy of it, because I think personally, putting the fishing this part here where you're trying to just move it around, all you're doing is just doing more of this.
yeah,
More of this. Now, I talk about your core mechanics, which is usually the first level and the fantasy and the progression and all these things, right?
yep,
Now, I want to talk about scaling, right? So that is a test. That is a test to sort of like figure out like, oh, how how robust is your core mechanics and how far can you push. This is level 2. This is level 2 of Overcooked 1. If you look at the flow, it looks something like this lah. In the first impression is very good. When you get to shoot the water and you start to get pushing around, oh, I can push it around, oh yeah, it's fun to shoot water, and after a while you start to feel like, oh, actually this fish is kind of a drag to move around, huh?
yeah,
So you want to ask yourself, right, uh what is the fun of being being a firefighter in that sense, because the fish might be fun in first impressions, but as you try to scale up, as you try to push this mechanic further and further, you start to realize that, wow, all I'm doing is, if you compare it to this one, if you
yep,
compare it to this one, it's 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 kind of similar. All right, there's
yeah,
a funnel, there is like there's different stations. This is level 3. Level 3, this is when you start to introduce the moving platforms. This side of the wall can move to here, like here, right? Like this one will start to move to here, and this will start to move to here, correct? If you look at the flow, it is kind of similar as well. All right, like there's
mm,
funnel, there's a flow, like you're sort of like trying to establish a workflow, and there's like kind of like there's like a funnel element in all of these spaces. How do they scale it? Random recipes, elevation, challenging funnels. So one thing they try to do in terms of scaling is the random recipes. How do they change the level design, and of course changing the funnels itself, moving the funnels into different places, forcing the players to reconsider, because you look at these two lines, right? The funnels start to move from the bottom to the top, and it start to change. And then of
yeah,
course the center point, which is this these 3 plates here, this is where you normally transition, but it gets moved to the center and moves to the side. And of course
yeah,
this is the funnels and the shortcuts start to change. In the same game, they sort of like create a second layer workflow 1 into workflow 2, workflow 1 into workflow 2, workflow 1 into workflow 2, in that sense.
mm-hmm,
So that's
mm-hmm,
how they scale up. They scale up by challenging your workflow and changing the ingredients. moving obstacles, hazardous platforms are not the thing that they scale up. They scale up by changing where the funnels are. If that makes sense.
Mm.
Ah, the moving the platform is just a way to express that now your funnel is time gated. Now, to pass this bread, this soup I have to my friend, I need to wait until the thing comes. While the thing comes, do I put it on the ground and just kind of leave it there while I go do something, or do I move it? Because this funnel is locked for that time. So Overcooked 2 doesn't scale by adding more platforms. They scale by changing their funnels where they are. Does it make sense?
Makes sense.
Ah,
Makes
so
a
so
lot
this
of sense.
it's like I'm looking at the square and now oh it's a cube. That kind of thing is this is you're looking at the same coin, but you need to just sort of like tilt the coin a little bit to see what's the big picture. Ah, so when you think of fires out, right, how are you scaling up? You're not scaling up by adding new hazards, but what that thing
Yeah.
is. Yeah, what is that thing? And it's not adding more stuff. In Overcooked 2, it's changing the workflow, forcing them to change the workflow. And
Mm-hmm.
in the moving out, this is level 2 of moving out, and this is the workflow, which is also more or less the same like what you see here, right? Which is more or less what you
Yeah.
see here, correct? There is like there is like some sort of center point where everything sort of pulls together, and then you sort of like pushing everything to into the van. This is level 3. It's sort of similar as well. These red lines are not technically they're kind of like funnels, but they're not the same funnels as Overcooked. But how they challenge their funnels is that every time you move through a funnel, it is a test in using your physics engine, the skill of moving the large physical objects through these funnels. And every
Mm.
time they scale up is by challenging how do you move this object through this particular funnel. Yeah, so that's how they scale up as well. The way moving out scales is actually very similar to what you guys are doing. It's actually by adding more content. So you might want to see moving up more than Overcooked. But what they do is that because their physics engine is a little bit more like robust, they can
Mm-hmm.
afford to add more stuff because in a very strange way, right? Moving out evolves into a platformer game at the later difficulties, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you play moving out long enough, right, you will feel like am I playing a moving game or I'm playing a platformer game? At
Yeah.
its
Yeah. Yeah.
core, right, because a platformer game is kind of like that. The platformer game challenges you in that game's physics engine, right? In that game's physics logic, and by
Yeah.
changing the environment, they are challenging you to use this physics logic in different ways. So that's how they scale it up. Yeah. So they transform the assembly line basically. If Overcooked 2 is workflow, moving out is like an assembly line. Your workflow is like a
Wow.
interconnected system. Assembly line is like passing and passing and passing. So that's when they create all this room for player errors and also challenge in terms of how good are you at using this physics engine. Okay, so I don't want to go into detail in terms of FiresOut one, but
Yep.
this is the rough again the rough workflow of what is in your like very kind of
Yep.
similar to this, right? It's very linear. It's a straight line. You have all these like points, but once you cross them, that's it already. It's you don't really need to think about it anymore already. Of course, you have fire dropping, but it doesn't really change your decision making, right? In moving out, right, there is a chance that you moving this thing in the same area will come up with different results because somebody might slip. Somebody might walk
Yeah.
slightly faster, somebody might walk slightly slower, and then that's when the accidents start to happen. In this one, when the fire comes out, it's like, oh, just aim it and spray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
the room for error is like very, very small, right? So a lot of the game scaling depends on adding more obstacles rather than challenging the game system in different ways. So that's what I feel about in Fires Out like that you might
Yeah.
find that the game is a bit hard to scale because of this linear issue. And I want you to really think about when you scale, right? How are
Mm-hmm.
you challenging the game system in terms of the workflow, this workflow, challenging the game system in through their physics engine. So adding a moving platform is not really adding a moving platform. It's adding a new way to challenge the player's mastery of the physics
Mm-hmm.
engine. Now I'm gonna come to the last one. I call this point genre clash
Okay.
because you are referencing these games as these games are co-op games. Okay,
Right.
in terms of genre, they are usually co-op games. This is a co-op game. Fireside is a co-op game. Movie is a co-op game. You're not wrong, but if you look at how the game is expressed, right? this is
Yeah.
how Overcooked. I'm just gonna simply visually explain how Overcooked,
Yep.
expresses its mechanics. It is more like it is more a game of efficiency. Okay.
Yeah.
Like think of like I don't know, like Factorio, or like like those efficiency games. Yeah, it's kind of like that. So it's a co-op efficiency game, if that makes sense.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, like okay, efficiency. I don't know if I would call efficiency as a genre. Rather than look at Overcooked as this is a co-op game, you have to think of co-op what game, co-op management game, co-op what game, co-op what game, right? If you look at
Yeah.
moving out, again, this is like kind of, I put dot 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 because some of the furnitures are slower, right? So you might move some
Yeah. Yeah.
fast, you
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
slow. Moving out is like assembly line platformer. Okay, you're studying
Hmm.
assembly line, but because there's a physics engine, there's a platforming element. Maybe you put physics platformer or something like that. So you're trying to assemble assembly line.
Oh.
Ah, now, what genre do you think this is?
Hmm.
So you have this kind of motion, right? This one
Yeah.
axis because it's one time. What do you think this genre is really? It's a co-op game, yes, but a co-op what game?
It will. It would. I feel it's more towards moving out assembly line platformer style.
Anyone else? Any other designers want to give a different one?
If you're going only in one direction once, adventure.
Adventure? Anyone else?
More than just a one-time adventure.
Okay. Is it a puzzle game?
Mm.
Think of Portal 2. Portal 2 has two-player thing, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You find the solution, you move on. Correct?
Mm.
You don't look back anymore. You get what I mean? Now,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Fires Out is a puzzle game. At this point, I feel it kind of feels like a puzzle game. If that
Correct.
makes
Correct.
sense. It feels like it. Now, I'm not saying, again, I'm not asking you to change it. I'm just saying because the way you choose to express the current game mechanics, it suddenly start to the needle start to move away, further and further away from Overcooked, from moving out and into a different space already. And this space kind of feels
Mm-hmm.
like a puzzle game. Now, these things can happen. You start to, in your vision, in your mind, you want to make one game, but you ended up making another game. These things happen all the time. As a team, this is your game, this is your baby. I'm not gonna ask you to change it. I'm gonna ask you to think about it, because if you ask me like as a professional opinion, what do I think Fires Out? Like, if I have to give a genre to this game, I'm going
Yep.
to put puzzle because it feels like that. But it doesn't really play like a puzzle. It plays like a puzzle game that is trying to be a moving out game or trying to be a overcooked game. If that makes sense.
Mm.
All right. Okay, I'm going to give you some things when I thought about when I play Fires Out. So I'm going to give you some things to think about here, because when I look at
Okay.
Fires Out, it feels like a puzzle game, and I'm going to give you some elements that might fit the fantasy, might fit
All right.
the mechanics of it, but again, you have to think about it because this is a creative decision that I will ultimately let you guys
Mm.
decide. Have you guys played The Last of Us 2?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
so both of you played. Kudo, have you played it?
No.
Okay. So it's okay. 2 out of 3 is good. In The Last of Us 2 is my personal opinion, is a bit of a flawed game, but there is one
Mm.
mechanic I really like, which is this rope mechanic. There are a few parts in
Romantic.
the game. Yeah, there's a few parts in the game where you need to like use a physics-based rope to either like toss over a thing so you can climb up. You need to break something, hook it over so that you can climb over. This particular one I'm referencing is like a cable that you have to connect from one point to another point. So this is a puzzle, right? Now, what if you are not using the fish, but you're using a hose that you have to stretch? And like
I see.
let's say for example, like one hose you have to plug it to a hydrant, and then you have to carry the other point of the hose through the house. But maybe the windows are the one that you can throw the hose through, but you cannot walk through, right? So you throw the hose through something, walk to a different part, take the hose, and then you spray. When I play a game, when I played Fires Out, I thought about this. I was like, wow, what if the hose is like, because you have the windows, because you do have a level where it's like, because I cannot carry Gluk Gluk through the window,
Yep.
I have to break the window, go in, break the debris,
Correct.
open the door, let it through. Now, what if I have to bring this hose? I cannot bring it through the door because it's too short. Break the window, throw
Right.
the hose through it because I cannot go through the window. And then
Oh.
I go the other side, take the hose, and then spray. And then you can even add the mechanic of like, let's just say, if you want to add to the fantasy, right? Perhaps you can keep the water spraying mechanic, but maybe carrying the hose is easy, but controlling the hose is hard. This experience of
Mhm.
holding the hose, of two-person needing to hold the hose to control the water, perhaps you can think about that as well. Uh, so
Mm.
if you want to lean into the more physics based, perhaps you can try to have like a very good rope physics to create puzzles that involves navigating the hose through a complicated house. And then maybe in the house itself have different water points that you can connect to, and then to add shortcuts, maybe you can open up new spaces to
Right.
add more water, water spots, things like that. Just things like that, right?
So
Uh,
interestingly, right,
yeah.
this was the first form of Fires Out actually.
But why you turn away from it?
Cause
Hard
we
to
look
hard.
at the rope physics
Yeah,
and we're
yeah.
like, okay,
Yes. It's
that's
tough,
gonna
right?
be hard to work with.
Correct. Again, if you again you thought about that already, so that's very good. But because you turned away from that decision, you are
Yeah.
forced to make an equally important choice, right? So how are
Right.
you going to solve this problem if you cannot do this hosting, right? Now you have the
Mhm.
glug glug, which is again interesting, but you lose that the fantasy of holding a hose as a fire as a
True,
fire
true,
team. And
true.
if players think about solving problems rather than moving, I think the game would be slightly more interesting because by changing the hose into glug glug, you add more movement to the water object itself, rather than
Mhm.
figuring out how to position the water object, which is a hose, and then turning things on. So, like for example, you might not want to add water physics, but maybe you can create checkpoints in the game, like instead of like pulling a physical objects, maybe you can connect like 2 points, and then the hose will like magically connect into these 2 points,
Mhm.
and then you can do some kind of shortcut. Then it becomes like more puzzly already. So you don't
Mhm.
have to force the physics out, because if you cannot do it again, doesn't not asking you to try to figure out this rope physics, right? Because Last of Us rope physics is done by a multi-million dollar studio, right? So this
Yeah.
not something that you can easily replicate. So but if you don't do that, you need to think about what other ways that still achieve the same goal, even though it doesn't express itself through this way.
Mm.
uh so not doing this, there is a cost to it, and you need to understand what that cost is, and you need to figure out what's the alternative that would help to solve this problem. So maybe what you can think about is glug glug is hard to control only when you turn on the water. Maybe that's something. So then
Oh,
you take away the
the
pressure of
heaviness.
move, yeah, the heaviness, and just add that control, the fact that it's so that simulates the hose element, right? Without having the hose physics, but it simulates the fact that, oh, it takes two people to control this high pressure water system.
Mm.
Rather than the water pushing the person, now you have to maintain the accuracy of this hose, with two people. uh right, if that
That
makes
makes
sense.
sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. So things like that, yeah. Maybe what you can do also, spraying water to different things will solve different environmental problems, not just fire. Sorry, spraying water can use to solve some environmental problems, not just fire problems, not just spraying out fire. Maybe you can use to spin something to open a door. Maybe you can push something out of the way so that you can access to, things like that.
Mhm.
The water itself can solve different problems, because physics is tricky, right? So maybe you don't want to do this, but
Okay.
maybe like filling a
Filling
bucket,
water it
uh
contains.
or maybe you don't have to be physics, but maybe you can just, like, maybe like you fill the water with a bucket, and you carry the bucket itself, and then you splash, that kind of thing. Maybe
Mm.
adding some elements of this, simulating the firefighting experience. Yeah, but what
Yep.
what
Okay.
what you end up choosing, you need to achieve a few things. You need to achieve the fantasy of being a firefighter, but at the same time you need to solve this particular issue lah, which is the
Mhm.
which is this how are you scaling up. Whatever that you end up picking, you need to ask yourself, how would this scale up? If you cannot solve that issue, you might need to think of a different mechanic already. ah
Mm.
yeah. Okay. Now, whatever you
Okay.
have in the game, I don't think it's like completely bad. It's just that it's it feels like a puzzle more and more. Uh,
Yep.
and maybe you might find different solutions if you start to think of the game's genre in a different point of view. Yeah. But of course, fire burning, there's a lot of agency, right? Like collapsing. If you play a puzzle, if you play if you play Portal 2, and you just kind of sit around and think for a while the house is burning. This is fine. You don't have that same fantasy, right? Puzzle might
Yeah.
puzzle might ask you to take your time, but also putting out a fire, there's more agency. So the puzzle and the time element might clash a little bit, but maybe you'll find some
Right.
interesting design solutions around it. I'm not really sure, but I'm just giving
Mm-hmm.
you some different things to think about lah on how to solve the problem, like what
Mm-hmm.
you're facing right now.
I think this is legit what um because I felt like our game was more puzzle-ish, but I I felt like it was something that was on my mind, but I couldn't really speak out what it looks like.
Mm,
But now that you
mm,
put it this way,
mm,
it makes a lot more sense.
mm. And don't ignore these feelings, because sometimes when you play it, it's like the game is trying to tell you, hey, are you making a puzzle game? Are you making a co-op game? Again, specificity, right? Your Overcooked is a co-op assembly. Sorry, co-op is a Overcooked is a co-op cooking game. Not only that, it's like a co-op cooking game that is like more like a building a workflow kind of game, like refining a
Mm-hmm.
workflow. Moving Out is creating an assembly line combined with a platformer. What is
Yep.
Fires Out? It's not just a co-op game. There are genre things that you are indirectly taking, but
Yep.
you need to find the best way to express it. Ah,
Mm.
yep. Last question I want to ask. This is just my question. Do
Yep.
you guys plan to have a solo mode, or you plan to have pure multiplayer?
The answer is we plan to have. So the answer is it has to be multiplayer,
Mm,
because a co-op game is only fun if it's multiplayer.
mm, mm,
But at the same time, if you
mm.
look at Overcook, moving on, all of them can be played solo.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
So we
Ah.
are we want to have we will have a solo mode,
Mm.
but it's geared towards multiplayer.
Understand. No issues with that, because I think these games are geared towards multiplayer, but they
Yep.
are playing single player is not the best experience, but it's totally playable single player. Funny story about Overcooked, okay? I actually bought the
Mm-hmm.
game 3 times. And do you know why? You know
Why?
why? My wife loves the game so much she can play it on her own, and she's willing
Uh-huh.
to play it on different platforms.
Wow.
We started with Steam, so I bought it on Steam, and then when we
Uh-huh.
got a Switch, she felt like, oh, isn't it nice if I can play Overcooked on the Switch? I bought it on Switch again.
Oh.
Oh, now, the PlayStation. I'm starting to play PlayStation now. You said on PlayStation, so I bought a PlayStation. I bought the game 3 times because she loves this game so much that she can play it on
Uh-huh.
her own, and she's willing to buy this game 3 times to just play it on different platforms. So there are people who are willing to play this game solo, and my wife is a customer that has bought Overcooked 3 times.
Wow.
So don't I know that you
To play
don't
solo.
to play solo, exactly. I
Wow.
know you might not think about it, but I want you to do a bit more research on this, just to really make sure that you know that you're making
Mm-hmm.
the right call in this. Because if Fires Out is a puzzle game, you can contextualize it as like it's playable solo, correct? Because
Yep.
there are certain things that you don't need to get two people to coordinate exactly the same time anymore. Uh,
Correct.
right. Again, not saying that you should do it. I'm just saying to just think about it a little bit more, because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because this is something that I couldn't play test this game on my own. I need to get somebody to help me. Having this game playable solo might open doors to more audience.
True, true, true. Agree, agree.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's all the notes. After this session, I would export this and send it to you guys so you can refer to it at your own time.
Yes,
Uh,
please.
yes, and with that, I'm done. Yeah, it's about more slightly more than an hour. So that's so hopefully this is enough. Is there anything else you want to add on that I did not mention before I close this session?
One of the thing that you mentioned is because our game is more on puzzles,
Mm-hmm.
then and also the pathway that in the level design is just like one way, just one time only.
Mm.
Is it probably that because of uh our game objective, which is with saving victims,
Ah,
that
ah.
cause that we only can choose one times pathway, because we are
Mm.
putting the victims in different spots,
Mm.
and also we already fixed that each levels only have 3 victims.
Mm.
So in other sense, our player just need to just go through one time the section, the area, and
Yep.
then they don't need to go back there already.
Yep.
Is
Yep.
that also one of the issue that we have?
Correct, because the fantasy of being a firefighter, the fantasy of being a firefighter, puts you in the perspective of this is what your game kind of has to be like, right? To save victims. And let's say if it's not save victims, it's putting out fires. And if it's putting out fires, I think you will encounter the same problem as well. If let's say this house has X amount of fires, like let's say okay, let's look at the level design of your of this, okay? So let's say this. Now, let's say I take away all the victims. Okay? Now, what is your goal? If your goal is to put out the fires, isn't it the same? Like did anything change? Do you feel? Like
Nope.
if let's say you were to put out the fires, right? Like let's say your goal is to put out all of these red spots. Did it change the game in any particular way?
No.
Not
So it's not really about the victims. It's because firefighting as a fantasy creates a specific kind of way that the game wants to be played, and you might not be able to escape this unless again I'm not in your design discussion, so I do not know. Unless something really really magical happens and you really really found a solution, I do not see an immediate solution. So if you do have that, it might take a lot of effort to figure it out. But because as a firefighting game, you are either putting out fires, which is a limited thing, and also time thing, or saving victims, which is the same thing as well. Yeah, it's only one off. Now, let's say if you put out the fires and then you try to come back and then new fires appear, it's literally the same thing. You are adding more content, correct? Yeah.
Yep.
But if you recontextualize it as a puzzle, you don't think about putting out the fires. Is you think about this hose is not long enough. How do I get this hose long enough to hit all the fires? So it's not really about putting out fires anymore. It's creating a pathway for your hose to get to the fire. That is your solution. All right, and that solution might take a while to get there, but once it's there, it's solved. You solve it like a puzzle game, correct? Ah,
Yep.
yeah. So I'm keeping the same thing because you cannot. Let's say if you were to figure out like save let's say if you're saving the victims, right? Saving the victims again creates a sort of linear path and to get there. But how do you get there? You have what, ladders, you have tools, you have trampolines. Now, how do you want to orchestrate a scenario where to create a pathway for this victim to escape? Maybe that's the puzzle itself. And then once you hit that, the victim runs and then you're done already, in that sense. So it's more like figuring out how to find the path rather than, oh, I need to save the victim. The saving the victim is just flavor only. But what the game is really trying to ask you to do is this space is uh is incomplete. How do you open it up? This space is closed off. How do you open it up? Does it make sense?
Mm.
So it's not really about. So now the objective of putting out the fire or saving the victim, I think at this point is pretty trivial. I think you pick either one, it would be more or less the same. In fact, I would encourage you to just pick one main objective, and the other one is a side objective, like moving out, right? Moving out, you should move the furnitures, but the side objective is like, oh, let's try to throw a basketball in this hoop, or don't use this step of stairs. Again, it's more like platforming challenges rather than like it's more like platforming challenges or physics based challenges
Yep.
on top of the
Okay.
moving out that you already have. So you want to think about that rather than this, because I think your real problem is not really the victim or the fire, because it's a firefighting game. You have to use these elements, but how you express this one, it is tricky, because now you need to combine the fantasy of being a firefighter, the mechanics, and also the genre into like a bit more cohesiveness. Moving out and Overcooked 2 managed to do that by having that again. By turning moving out into a platformer, it's a weird jump, but it's not so different that it throws you out of the experience, correct? It still managed to keep the flavor of putting throwing furnitures into this space. All right. I don't. Does it answer your question?
Yep.
Okay.
I have
Yes.
one other question.
Yes.
So my question comes with one thing that we are also struggling right now is
Mm-hmm.
like in terms of, so as the level progresses, the
Mm.
difficulty should ramp up.
Correct.
So as we were designing, how do we, how do we make the difficulty harder?
Mm.
I was thinking we should come up with a framework or an equation that makes that 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 explains why how does the difficulty
Mm.
um increases.
Ah, ah.
Do you think this is something we should have?
I see. I because I feel your game is not really an RPG. It's not numerical based. It
Mm.
depends a lot on level design. I feel
Yep.
it's space. It's how
Yep.
you challenge the players in utilizing the space uh,
Yep.
against the core mechanics. My okay. So this is what I would recommend you do. Put more time into refining your core mechanics. The act of controlling your character, the act of like how like for example, is Gluk easy to move or easy to move but hard to control, or hard to control
Yep.
but easy to move? That is the
Mm-hmm,
thing that you want
mm-hmm.
to ask. How should throwing feel like? Is it like overcooked throwing, or is it like moving out throwing? These two are very
Mm.
different throwing, right? How do you want to express like how do you want to like do you want this bucket thing? Do you want to carry your water and splash it? Do you think that's fun? I think you want to go back and look at that first, because is this alone fun?
Mm-hmm.
This one. I think because I think it's fun in the first 5 seconds.
Right.
First fun in the first 5 seconds. But I think you want to think about how you want to make this a lot more a bit more fun, and then that's when you start to see where are the rooms you can challenge yourself. Look at the core systems first, because again, ask yourself, right? In terms of the game's challenges, the game's chaoticness, there's a lot of interconnecting systems that forces you to play the game in a particular way, and how multiplayer throws that into a throws you off a little bit. Um, think about that first, because if your this one is not strong, it's hard to scale the game up. It's really really difficult. A lot of the challenges comes now because you are not looking at expanding the level. You're not looking at you're thinking more obstacles, but you're not really
Yeah.
thinking more fun, change the funnels, if that makes sense.
Makes sense. Makes
Because
sense.
the game depends, the core system depends on these funnels to make to work. The workflow placed in the
Yeah.
level which has funnels, com- combined with the fact that players cannot phase through one another, then you can think about scaling. Then you can think about now every time I add a new ingredient, every time I move every time I add a new gimmick. Now moving platforms change into portals. It's a different flavor altogether, right? But fundamentally, you're only changing the funnels, correct?
Correct.
Instead of the funnel being in one space, I go from the left room, I appear in the right room. That
Mm-hmm.
that you see that's when the game starts to become, the room to scale up becomes more and more apparent, because now funnel is the key. I can think of so many things already. Moving platforms, portals, slippery floors, lava floors, time gated spaces, or maybe two-person can step on the button to open up the door. It's like the ideas keep flowing non-stop, right? Because
Yeah.
your main core mechanic is the funnels in Overcooked lah. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and in moving out is the physics.
Right.
Right? So what is fires out? Because I think you are taking elements from these two, but you haven't found what is yours yet.
Yeah.
What is your true core mechanic? Yeah, the thing about the game that makes it so scalable. Yeah. By thinking of it that way, all those becomes different flavors of the same thing. And like players would feel like they're challenged in different ways. Hmm.
Mm.
You understand? So it's not a
Understand.
numerical thing. It's more like it's not a mathematical formula you can solve. It's more like a series of interactions, like choices and consequences that creates limitations. What is the
Mm-hmm.
limitation of Overcooked? It is the funnels. The real challenge is the funnels are forcing you to move in a particular way. The multiple stations and the prepping stations, which takes different time, and some of them can fail, right?
Mm.
Ah, that alone, that alone constitutes running a kitchen. If you can play that on its own without the pressure of ingredients and whatnot, that alone is kind of fun
Yeah.
already, right?
Yeah.
Then that's when the other elements come and make it more fun. So build the kitchen mechanic first before thinking about moving platforms. Build the physics
Mm.
mechanic first in moving out before thinking about platforms. What is Fires Out still hasn't found its special like special sauce yet.
Special thing.
What is
Okay,
your special thing?
understood.
Once you got that right, the challenge your level ideas will come non-stop one.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm, mm, mm,
Okay, okay.
the reason why you're struggling is because you don't have enough design space in your current mechanic.
Um, one last question,
Mm.
which is like, w- for you in for Fires Out, right? What is the your most favorite mechanic and the least favorite?
I think controlling Gluk Gluk is fun. To me, I
Mm-hmm.
think, but moving around is not so fun. I think I would prefer if I can move Gluk. I think the spraying the water is fun. That I think that one I had the
Uh-huh.
most enjoy. But moving around is very tedious. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Everything else is I think it's okay. But the gimmick of putting out fires, right? That the Gluk Gluk thing is fun. Like the moment I start and play, I think, oh, this is kind of interesting. But then it just kind of falls after that. But I still enjoy spraying the water to put out
Mm-hmm.
the fire. I think that one is fun.
Okay, okay. Understood, understood.
All right, I think that's it. All right, thank you guys for joining. And of course, if you feel this is very helpful, just tell your friends or peers that if they want need any advice, can come to me. And of course, if you feel that you want any follow up question, just send me an email. I will try my best to
Yep.
to get back to you lah.
Thanks
And
a
of
lot.
course,
That
if
helps
you
a lot.
yeah,
It
if you
helps a
need a
lot.
second or third session, just reapply again, and then we'll do it again. And then if you have different problems to solve, if you have different things to address, just let me know. I'll try to come up with different solutions for you guys. Mm.
Yep, that helps.
Okay, okay.
A
Uh,
lot of stuff that you mentioned here, right, are the things that was at the tip of my brain,
mm, mm.
but like I couldn't formulate or like really specify what it is. But
Ah,
now that you put it out, it
ah,
makes more sense.
ah. A lot of design problems is like this. You're looking at the box. You're looking at the square. You just look at it, something is off. Something about this square is not making any sense. And then one day you just turn it a little bit to the left. It's like, oh, it's a cube. Oh, it's
Yeah.
a lot. It's a lot like that. It's just giving you more perspective so that you can look at more, and you might see a different perspective even after this call, right? Because
Yep.
I'm not making this game. You guys make this game. You might have more context. So just keep changing point of view. Changing. I'm doing here is just changing point of view. Only. I'm not even talking about different things. I'm just skirting along the same path with you guys and just say, hey, have you considered this? Moving
Mm-hmm.
platforms, but have you considered changing funnels? It's the same thing but different angle. Hmm.
Mm.
All right.
Helps a lot.
All right. Okay, cool. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for this. And with that, I'm gonna end the session lah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you,
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
All right, and
thank you.